Thank you and welcome, Mr. President. I welcome you to the Vietnam International Container Terminal on behalf of its board of directors, partners, as well as on behalf of American President Alliance, APL. It's a pleasure and an honor for us to be your host today. A warm welcome as well to the Ministry of Trade, Wu Quan, to Secretary of Commerce, Norman Mineta, to Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs, Nguyen Dinh Binh, Your Excellencies, valued customers, distinguished guests, and colleagues. The first time I was present at an event where President Clinton spoke was in Copenhagen 3 years ago. There you had to postpone a trip to Denmark until you had recovered from a leg injury. I recall that you made the comment that it was kind of Denmark to wait until it could welcome you as a standing president rather than one who was sitting down. With what is happening or not happening in Florida these days, you may just have to be standing for a while longer. Mr. President, this is truly a proud moment for all of us, as it must be for you to be here and to look back over 8 years in office, knowing that you have made a significant and positive difference to the lives of those here. Your vision and your dynamism has encompassed all of us around the globe, as well as, of course, the people of the United States of America. You and your administration have not just recognized that international trade can and does break down barriers and helps develop relationships between people and countries. You have acted on that conviction. Mr. President, we understand and experience that very point every day. Our roots as a shipping company go back to 1848. At that time, the forebears of APL linked New York with San Francisco over Panama. However, in 1867, they took an important and brave step with the inauguration of regular shipping services from California to Japan, Hong Kong, and China. We've been active in the Asia-Pacific ever since. And a lot has happened over the years. Just imagine, Mr. President, what world trade would be today if a smart American trucker had not come up with the idea that resulted in containerization as we know it today. We take it for granted now, but this, in a mobile way of transporting goods, really only took off in the early 70s, just 30 years ago. This fast and much more efficient, cost-efficient transportation system has helped developed countries, in particular, to become active in the manufacture and export of consumer goods, rather than just being exporters of primary products. It has allowed all countries to become active participants in the global community of trading partners. Add to this modern technology. A manufacturer here in Vietnam can now use a keyboard to find a market and new trading partners. At APL, we have a culture of innovation and the intelligent use of IT in business. This is why when trade sanctions were lifted in 1994, our first priority was to connect our new Ho Chi Minh City office to the rest of our system by satellite and to train our local staff. Vietnam became part of our global network overnight. A liberal and free trading environment opens new doors. This terminal is an excellent example of international cooperation between a local Vietnamese partner, Suatco, linking with a great Japanese trading company, Mitsui & Company, and with our parent, Neptune Orient Lines of Singapore. A truly successful joint venture gave Vietnam its first container terminal, which, in addition to benefited from considerable technology transfer from the container terminals operated globally by its main user, APL. Becoming a welcome part of the local community leads to even more, as illustrated by our support for the Helmets for Kids initiative. A small step, maybe, but a signal of APL's strong commitment to the local community. I'm delighted that you have launched this program, Mr. President. As helmet wearing goes up and the rate of casualties in traffic accident goes down, we will all remember the important part you had in that. Ladies and gentlemen, as part of my role as host here today, along with welcoming the President, it's my equally great pleasure to be permitted to introduce U.S. Secretary of Commerce, Norman Mineta. Mr. Mineta has had a long and distinguished career of 4 decades. In fact, as he was beginning his working life serving the public, I was beginning mine in shipping. His scope is global as well as local, so is mine. But while I think I've had fun and interesting career, it would take me a lot too long to recount to you all that Norman Mineta has accomplished. So I'll confine a review to a few specifics which reflect not just his achievements, which are significant, but also a personality who cares for people. Secretary Mineta has stated his top priorities include people as part of the business and protecting coastal and marine resources. And his office's responsibilities range from advising the President on trade to forecasting the weather. His priorities can be traced through a career that has taken him through many distinguished responsibilities. One role in particular caught my attention. He was elected to the US Congress representing the Silicon Valley back in 1974. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the man who represented the dot-coms before the coms were even dotted. He's been involved in promoting trade, both at home and internationally. But behind his career has been a personality that cares for the individual, something recognized publicly in 1995 when he was awarded the Martin Luther King Jr.'s commemorative medal for his contributions to the field of civil rights. It's an honor to now invite Mr. Mineta to address us.
Thank you very much. Jacobs, thank you very, very much, and good afternoon, everybody. I am truly delighted and honored to be here as part of President Clinton's historic visit to this country. This visit is about reconciliation and the future. It is about appreciating the experiences, often painful, that we hold in common while recognizing the opportunity. Indeed, for the sake of our children, the obligation to move our relation forward. In America, no one has done more to move us forward than President Clinton. Nearly 8 years ago, at the beginning of his first term in office, he recognized that the time had come for the United States and Vietnam to mend our troubled and complex relationship. With a steady hand and an eye toward the big picture, and with the cooperation of Vietnam's leaders, he crafted a long-term strategy for U.S.-Vietnam relations that resulted in, first, the lifting of the trade embargo, later, the restoration of full diplomatic relations, and most recently, the signing last July of the bilateral trade agreement. As the Secretary of Commerce, I believe that the bilateral trade agreement will be of enormous help to Vietnam's economy and to many of its entrepreneurs. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing to you Ms. Lê Hai Lu, the director of Duc Tan Company, a private company that is one of Ho Chi Minh City's largest furniture manufacturers. Ms. Lu is an excellent example of the entrepreneurial spirit that has taken hold in this city. Her company has more than 400 items in its product line and employs over 500 workers. The company exports to over 30 countries, including the United States, although its main markets are Australia, Russia, Europe, and East Asia. In 1999, more than half of Ms. Lu's company sales were export sales. Ms. Lu is one of many Vietnamese business people who are leading this country towards a brighter, more prosperous future. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to introduce to you Ms. Lê Hai Lu.
Tôi là Lê Hải Diệu, giám đốc công ty cổ phần thiết của Đức Thành. Hôm nay tôi lấy làm vinh dự đại diện cho cộng đồng các doanh nghiệp tại thành phố Hồ Chí Minh, Việt Nam. Xin nhiệt liệt chào mừng Tổng thống, phái đoàn và các vị doanh nhân Hoa Kỳ đến viếng thăm thành phố chúng tôi, thăm cảng City, nơi chúng tôi xuất khẩu hàng hóa. sử này.
ITC. I'm very happy with this new development because I think it will open a new page in the relationship between the US and Vietnam, and I'm sure that the US businessmen are as well happy as I am. I hope that the BTA will be ratified in a very near future.
Xin các bạn quý vị xin cần với tôi xin chào mừng ông William Jefferson
Thank you very much. Ms. Liu, thank you for your remarks and for your introduction and for your excellent English, much better than my Vietnamese. I thank Secretary Mineta and the other members of the American delegation, and thank you, Fleming Jacobs, for making us feel welcome at this magnificent port. I would also like to thank the members of the Vietnamese government and the government of Ho Chi Minh City who are here. I thank you all for the time that we have had together these last few days. I wanted to come here today to this remarkable place which symbolizes Vietnam's gateway to the future, to say that one of the things I have learned in the last 3 days is that Vietnam has an ancient history, but it is still a very young nation. Over half your people were born in the last 30 years, and your best days clearly lie ahead as you continue to find the means to release the skills and the ingenuity of your people. Over the last decade, Vietnam has taken positive strides toward economic and social reform. In less than a decade, you have seen income per person rise almost 70%. You have lifted more than 15 million people out of poverty. You have eradicated polio. And this container port is an astonishing example of how Vietnam is seizing the new opportunities of the 21st century. You should be very proud of what you have built here. I can tell you that any nation in the world would be happy to have a facility like this. And it should cause you to imagine just how much more you can achieve. Already in the last decade, Vietnam's exports to the world have increased by 6 times over. You will grow even more as your economy becomes more open and the rule of law develops. More investment will come when people see Vietnamese entrepreneurs creating companies like OPL. And many more companies like OPL will be created if foreign and domestic investors see barriers to investment fall in a more business-friendly Vietnam. Already the people of Vietnam have the highest rate of literacy in Southeast Asia. Imagine how much more you will achieve as even more young people gain more freedom to shape the decisions that affect their lives. If vigorous competition and innovation bring down the cost of using the internet for all your school children and all your entrepreneurs, so that all Vietnamese people can benefit from the free and open exchange of ideas. Another of your great strengths is the burst of ambitious young people who enter the job market every year, about 1.4 million of them. Your country's leaders have acknowledged that state-owned enterprises alone cannot create enough good jobs for all of them, but Vietnam's young people have the talent and ideas to create the jobs of the future for themselves in a new era of entrepreneurship, innovation, and competition. That must be the future for Vietnam and its young people. Among those who are ready to work with you to build that future are Vietnamese living abroad, including about 1 million in the United States. With us here today are 2 Vietnamese American sisters. Their names are Nguyen Cao Thang and Bic Diep Trong. They run a pharmaceutical company named OPV. It was one of Vietnam's most successful companies in the early 1970s, and now our government has given them a loan to build a new manufacturing plant just outside this city. Overseas Vietnamese want to invest in your country, not only with their money, but with their hearts. We are glad to be helping them to return, and we thank you, the people and the government of Vietnam, for welcoming them home. The trade agreement the United States has signed with Vietnam will help even more investors come to your country. It will also help to develop a more open, sophisticated, free market based on international rules of law. And that will bring more rewards for the creativity and initiative of the remarkable Vietnamese people. Both our nations should ratify this agreement and implement it. The changes it will bring should be embraced, not feared. I told your leaders in Hanoi a couple of days ago that the United States is committed to providing assistance to Vietnam to help to implement this trade agreement. Among other things, we will establish a $200 million line of credit to support U.S. investment in Vietnam. And we and your government have agreed to begin an economic dialogue to discuss how we can work together to grow our economies in ways that truly improve people's lives. I believe you can avoid some of the mistakes that the United States and other industrialized countries made on their way to prosperity, thanks to the revolution in information technology and in the economics of energy. For example, we know today that protecting the environment is actually good for the economy. It preserves natural resources and helps to prevent natural disasters like the terrible flooding Vietnam has experienced these last 2 years. We now know that the more you invest in workers, raising their skills and protecting their rights, the more productive they will be and the more profitable companies will be, and the stronger national economies will grow. I am very pleased that on Friday we signed an agreement with the Vietnamese government to begin a dialogue on labor issues, on safety and standards in the workplace, and on the skills workers need for this new information economy, as well as the protections they will need from its disruptions. No one can deny the importance of these issues as we work together for a better future. But no one should deny Vietnam the opportunity to grow. That is the meaning of our trade agreement. That is the meaning of this port. The workers here at this port know better than anyone that trade lifts wages, raises standards, opens opportunities. It has been a great privilege for me to see today and over the last few days what the Vietnamese people have accomplished. I have been deeply moved by my visit here. I came here in part because I believe that America and Vietnam are linked not just by a shared and often tragic past that must be honored and remembered, but that we have a bright future that we can build together to liberate our people and their potential. The years of animosity are past. Today we have a shared interest in your well-being and your prosperity. We have a stake in your future, and we wish to be your partners. We wish you success. Chúc các bạn sức khỏe và thành công. Thank you very much. Thank you.